Hello, hi, friends, guys, girls. Okay, this is area one. Actually, I have this kind of videos before due to the fact that .NET is always moving so fast. We have a annual release, so I think I'm going to actually rewrite my videos as a more like weekly journey. It can be seen as a my way of telling you my experience on .NET, and also first trying to explain to you what .NET is. And some of you may start from the newest .NET. Some of you might start from .NET Framework like I did. So let's start. What is .NET actually? We have here is .NET.microsoft.com webpage/learn. The ENUS will be added automatically, depends on which region or language settings on your operating system actually. So what is .NET? .NET is a free cross-platform open source developer platform. With .NET you can use multiple language editors and libraries to build for web, mobile, desktop, games, IoT, and more. So if you comes from the original .NET like I did, like using .NET Framework, you'll see that it is only running on Windows. So for those really new in .NET, you will see most documentation, learning materials from Microsoft on .NET. This .NET is not actually .NET Framework. It's more like .NET Core, but since .NET 5.0, it is just renamed as .NET without the suffix core. And okay, I'll open my slide. So basically, I'm going to fill in this slide. So basically, I'm Ariawan. I'm Microsoft MVP, and I've been coding in .NET for about 12 to 13 years. Well, actually more than 13 years, but my actual experience is more like 13 years because to count from the original release of .NET Visual Studio 2002, it's more than 20 years, but my actual experience is about 13 years. So in a sense that the way I have my experiences, the way I learn, the way I have knowledge, skills, and is mostly 13 to 15 years. And the actual list I have been on .NET Core itself is about 6 to 7 years. So why I start this video is just a series and quick overview of .NET. In my previous video series, it's more like what is .NET, and .NET 6.0 has this and this and this, and it's more like I'm trying to put my consistent pace of weekly, and I'm also trying to move from due to the progress of .NET itself. I try to move along with the .NET itself. Right now you are here, quick overview, and I will also try to write a quick code as usual, hello world. Okay, so what is .NET? Basically you already have lots of documentation, this learning center here, and also the nice thing is having these lot of videos, of course starting from beginners, and then this is the language used in .NET, most focus on C#, but actually more than C# can run on top of .NET. You will have a R#, Visual Basic, C++, but unfortunately I don't have any kinds of reference or list of references how many language out there runs on top of .NET. I mean, if I talk about .NET Framework, you will see more than 10 programming language can run on .NET Framework. But now I am focusing on the .NET, which means .NET Core, and until .NET 8 for now, which is it's released last year. I'll talk about .NET release later. So the next one is, you see that you can use VS Code, STIDE, and also Visual Studio. There is a package management. It's called NuGet package management. Sometimes people are just calling it package management. Sometimes you'll see some people call NuGet package management, but actually it's the same. So Microsoft has its own package management for .NET. It is called NuGet. NuGet itself is also a tool that simplifies the process of incorporating third-party libraries and packages into your .NET projects. So these are the videos. I'm not going to describe more on what is .NET, but let me tell you what's going on before it. So again, before it is .NET Framework, and .NET Framework only runs on Windows. Let's go back to the what is .NET. It says here, secure, reliable, and high performance application platform, and it should mention here that it is cross-platform. So far the definition is slightly conflicting, but this is I think the correct one, the most correct one. So it's a free in the sense that you can use it. There is no, like a runtime fee or whatever. It's just free. It's just a purely free platform. It is cross-platform. So right now, if you use .NET 8, it is not just running on Windows. You will see that it can run on Linux, it can run on macOS, Apple macOS, and also other things such as Android, even Samsung's Tizen watch, and so on. And I'll go back to my slide here. So quick overview. Based on the documentation, it is called this, but I think the correct one and the most complete one is the one that we saw before. It is cross-platform, coming from .NET Framework. And why .NET is called modern? Because it is not just running on cross-platform, but also due to its nature of open source, meaning that everyone can join to collaborate and to contribute. I mean, not just submitting bug report or feedback, but also to contribute directly. This is why the importance of having a modern version, meaning that you can directly monitor the development itself. Especially, you can influence the development of the .NET itself by giving feedback, bug report, or hopefully you can also do something like me. For example, I sometimes contribute some code, especially on the GitHub when there is a tag that says help wanted or up for grabs. Yeah. And sometimes I also contribute directly if I see some code can be improved, then I just contribute directly. So based on the definition above, supported platform is not just Windows, Linux, and macOS. Again, I put some emphasis only on some distros, because not all of Linux distros can support .NET for now. It only supports more popular distros like Ubuntu, Red Hat. There is also Linux Mint, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, Alpine Linux, again only on some distros, so not all Linux. Like you see that there is a Slackware, and in Indonesia we often see the Blancon and many kinds of distros. For the sake of simplicity, I will later demo some of the code running on Linux. And since I'm now using Windows, I just can leverage the Windows subsystem for Linux, which I'll demo later on after this video. Then the exciting things is it can also run on IBM S370, you know, the mainframe computer that is usually used in finance companies, and sometimes used in some industries that needs computing power a lot, not just in terms of computing actually, but also some enterprise needs. So this S370 support is matured since .NET 8.0. As far as I know, it is available since .NET 8.0. Feel free to correct me otherwise. And then let's just dive into the demo. I'm going to go to my repo here, and yes, you can use Visual Studio, but right now, for the sake of this simplicity, I'll just use Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code can run on Linux, can run on Windows, Mac OS. So for this, I'll use Visual Studio Code for now. For your information, I'm mostly comfortable using Visual Studio for many reasons. Especially my day-to-day job is always using mostly Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. But again, you can use Visual Studio Code, not just Visual Studio. And if you ask me, no, Visual Studio is expensive, not free. There is a free edition of Visual Studio. It is called Visual Studio Community Edition. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is available since Visual Studio 2019. Of course, the latest one, 2022, you can still have the Community Edition, and you can have support for F#, C#, and also .NET Core within the free version of that Community Edition. So you can have your own choice of IDEs. Again, I will use Visual Studio Code. It is already running here, but if you want to ensure that Visual Studio Code is running on your current folder, just call it with the dot here. It means that Visual Studio Code will by default open your current folder. So I will close this, go back to here, and go dot. Now I have this, and let's try to create a new .NET project. But before that, and I have to emphasize this, please ensure that you have the correct prerequisite for .NET Core development in Visual Studio Code, like the C#, Dev Kit, and also IntelliSense or IntelliCode for this one. So for the sake of simplicity, actually you can just try to look for this guy, C# Dev Kit, and then install it, because this guy will also install the dependencies required for this extension to run. So let's try to look at these dependencies. It needs C#, and also it needs .NET install tool. But also one more thing, these extensions is different, totally different from Visual Studio extension. So by default, Visual Studio has its own some kind of workload that you can choose when you first installing Visual Studio. There is a .NET workload, there is a desktop app workload, C++ workload, and so on, so on, so on. I'm not going to discuss right now, but please bear with me that for Visual Studio Code, you have to be sure that you install this extension, C#. And C# DevKit is actually optional. If I'm not mistaken, this needs a specific license. Honestly, having this only C# is enough, but by having this C# DevKit, you will have other kinds of nice features such as support for solution and directly refactoring and so on, which is some of these features are not available if you are only just installing extension. Debugging is available by default, and I have to inform you, due to nature of Visual Studio Code, there is no designer support for desktop app. For that, you need to use Visual Studio, which is I will explain later, because actually .NET is not just you are creating web app, console, or whatever. You will have many features under the .NET 8.0 umbrella. So let's go back to here, and I'll try to open new project. So Control-Shift-P, hopefully create new project. Yeah, it tries to update some packages. Oh, by the way, while we are waiting for this one, my Visual Studio Code right now is only having necessary or required extension to code in .NET or .NET Core. It doesn't have some nice plugins such as Copilot or so on. But if you want to, I will enable and see the usage, because to me, I personally use it and it is very helpful. So I will make it available if you want it. And now let's start having new project such as console. Usually we create new console just to check for hello world or to create a hello world console, and we'll rename it console, hello.net console, the new project. And I will create the console, so I'll just use the source, because usually the best practice is all of the code is put within the source folder or src folder or directory. So I'll just use source and select this one. Yeah, there you are. So you will have a CS proj here, and you'll see that the terminal, oh, not the terminal, let's see the output. So it finished creating the CS project. Okay, let's look at the program here. You'll see that we have a hello world. Let's run this. You can run with debugging, but for now I just run without debugging. Control F5. Suggested. Yeah. Now it tries to compile before it runs, and we will say hello world. Since I'm going to say hello to .NET, then I could just change this. Hello .NET. Save it. You see that when I save, it changed from black circle to the normal close windows, close icon, sorry. And let's try to run it. Run without debugging. We have the hello.net. The nice thing about using this is we have the solution here. We have the solution and we have the CS project. Okay, the solution should be inside the source, but okay, let's just keep it for now. Maybe I'm having some mistake choosing the folder. You see that the content of the CS project is totally different from the one that you usually see in the CS project when you are creating a .NET Framework console or any kinds of project using .NET Framework. So you'll see that the content of this CS project is very simple. You have property group. It says that it target the .NET Framework version and .NET 8.0. It has some additional settings like implicit using is enabled, nullable is enabled. Yeah, and we can also play around with the target framework. This is using a singular target framework. If you plan to target more than one target framework, you can also have a multiple target framework. But again, if you are using Visual Studio Code, you have to be careful, because when you are trying to target multiple framework, then it is not quite recommended for now. I think, feel free to correct me, because when you are targeting multiple frameworks, you have to be sure that which target are you going to run by default. And this is why I usually be comfortable using Visual Studio, which is I'm going to open it right now. So I have Visual Studio open here. I'm using Visual Studio 2022 version of 17.10.3, which is at this time of my video creation is the latest one. So 17.10.3, and I could just select repository. You see that there are no repository, and I have to open them manually because this is the new one. I open local, go to here and select the folder. We'll see that if the folder only contains one solution, by default it will open that solution. Maybe I have to change the solution name here, but please bear with me. We have the hello.net console. Okay, we have some kind of notification that Visual Studio now loads only necessary and user specified symbol files to improve performance during debugging. This feature of 2022, I think it's a good one, only to inform us that, yeah, are you going to load all the debug symbols or not? But again, for this first episode, I am not going to discuss this for now. We could just close this. You'll see that the project is also editable in Visual Studio. We can see that, okay, if I close this and then I click the project or CS project, the content of that CS project is available. And let's look at the program.cs. We have the same editor. Of course, you will see that there is a tab here, but basically it is the same. Now, oh, hang on, I need to enable this. Like it changes here. Configure. I need to mark it as a trusted. Yeah. You see that the exclamation icons is gone now. Let's go back to here. Now I mentioned that it is modern, but usually this is one thing that is not quite often described or discussed before. Why it is modern? Because you can also target the previous versions or even the preview versions. Right now we have a .NET 9 preview 5. You can also target for that, but honestly I'm not having .NET 9 installed on this machine right now because I think preview 5 is more like a bleeding edge to me. Yes, I know that I contribute. If I contribute, I'm directly modifying the code in preview, of course. But if I create videos like this one, I'm not going to show you bleeding edge features for now. There will be another videos for that. And also, you can also search more to the already available existing videos, such as those nice and very concise videos from Nick Chapsas. You see that he always try to bring you some latest greatest, even from the version of .NET is not released, for example .NET 9. So feel free to go there. If we compare this one, we have console redline. And if I open the VS Code again, of course we have the same one, console redline. You see that there is a some kind of remark or comments. C aka.ms/new console template. Control click, you'll see that opens a new browser. And starting from .NET 6, project template for console app, by default it generates the following code directly like here. Compared to the previous version, we have a using namespace class blah 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 blah. Now there is no class declaration, there is no namespace, and there is no using. You'll see that the new settings in the CS project should give you a hint. Unfortunately, this is for .NET 6.0 plus, which means that since .NET 6.0, so you will have implicit usings. This will tell the compiler to have a using by default and make it as an implicit, meaning that you don't have to declare using systems or anything anymore. And there is this thing nullable is set to enable, meaning that every time you are dealing with the nullable field or properties, you have to ensure that either you mark it as a nullable or not, and there will be some kind of compile check directly before you run it. So since my program.cs is only printing the hello.net, right now we don't have that kind of warnings or compile warnings. to tell us, okay, you should be careful with using no label. Again, this is only targeting for .NET 8.0. But what if you are going to use this for multi-target against different version? Because to me, that is the one of the aspect of modern .NET is. So unfortunately, which is something that I'm going to tell you, that makes me more comfortable using Visual Studio. So I'm going to directly modify this. We have this singular, now I'm going to make it a plural, target frameworks, meaning that I'm going to tell the compiler or the MS build to make it support for more than one .NET. Before I'm going to save this, I'm going to check what is the .NET versions available on my machine. So let's look for .NET --info and see which version are available on my machine. We have here version 6, version 7, also have a version 5. This version 5 is actually installed by Visual Studio 2019. I already have it on my machine. I use 2019 actually to ensure that I have proper support for my legacy applications and legacy codes. Let's just focus on these SDKs available, meaning that if we only have the runtime, you cannot compile. If we have the SDKs or software development kit, you can compile. So I have 5.0.4.6 sorry, 60321, 80300, 80302. Again, I will describe what exactly this version scheme means after this video in a later episode. I have 8.0. By default, the 8.0 use is the latest one, of course the 80302. But again, you can also force the version to compile your code by having global JSON. I'm going to leave it for now. Let's just focus on the version that I have. I have a 5.6.8. That means that I can at least support 5.6.8, version 5.6.8, 5.0, 6.0, 8.0. Why I just only describing 5.6.8? Because again, every year .NET will release a major version. After 5 there will be 6, after 6 there will be 7, after 7 there will be 8. And now I'm going to add support for 6.0. I can make it like this one with semicolon 8.0, and I save it. Ensure that Visual Studio will also notice that there is a change. I'm going to just use this one, reload folded project. As long as you are correctly updating your CS project, you'll see that I could compile here, and that should be no problem. Okay. Now you have two, NET 6.0 and NET 8.0. If you look at the Visual Studio code, you will see that your program CS does not tell you anything more. You'll see only the source code. But if you open this program CS inside Visual Studio, you'll see that you have a way to directly see what happened if you change the context or the runtime or the SDK for 6.0 and 8.0. Right now I'm just using console.line. This console.line is available on both versions, of course. This is the nice thing about Visual Studio. You can see 6.0, you can see 8.0. As long as there is no difference on availability on those functions such as readline or console.readline, it can give you no effect. I mean, there is no warning or error, for example. Of course, not just useful, but also give you a quick check to see if you go to 6.0, is your code still okay? Not just 8.0. That gives you some ways to, again, quickly check what's going on. Because if you're using Visual Studio, not the Visual Studio Code, there will always some kind of background compilation running in the background that always check any kinds of changes when you type something. So that's it. Now you have running. Before I use a multi-target, let's see if I run this again inside Visual Studio Code. Okay, I think just to make it more interesting, which version of .NET is going to run now that I have multi-target like this one. So let's just run it. Again, I use run without debugging. You see that it will compile. What is this? Unable to set target framework. This is strange. Please delete. Okay, as the active configuration. Fine. And this is not quite clear because as the active configuration, it seems like target framework is set to empty. So now you see that hang on, target framework, okay, generate full path set to true, configuration debug, platform, blah blah blah, and yeah, there you are. You only have warnings, and it seems something wrong. Let's try to look at the settings you have here, and hello.net design time build. Okay, this is opened by Visual Studio. I'm afraid not by Visual Studio Code. Let's look only those opened by Visual Studio Code, which is default solution is this one. Okay, let's try to directly run. So again, unable to set. Okay, this strange message actually can be fixed, but I'm afraid that you can only run one target at a time. Okay, one target at a time. If you go back to the Visual Studio, you will see that if I go here, it will run the 8.0. You see hello.net. I just close this one, and if I go to, yeah, by default it will open the 6.0. Yeah. Okay, still give me the same. Yeah, let's make this to be more interesting. So hello.NET. Version used is, I'm going to use string interpolation in C# directly inside the literal. Let's call it environment, if I'm not mistaken. Is it reggae or runtime? Okay, runtime environment. If I use something that is not part of the default using or implicit using, it will directly add the using. This is nice thing about Visual Studio. I'm afraid you don't have this inside the Visual Studio Code. I may be wrong, but okay, let's code directly in Visual Studio for now. And what is system version? Yeah, got system version. So this no. Get system version is it a method? No. Okay, this is a method that returns a string. Fine, we'll use this. And we are going to run this using net 60. Let's press run. Oh, this is strange. It says here version 4. Is this a bug? This is so surprising. Okay, if I may have to report this to the .NET repo. Oh my, interesting, isn't it? Now I run it inside the environment of net 60, but it reports the runtime use is 4.0. Okay, let's press any key to close this. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let's try to check for the actual runtime version. So runtime environment dot, do I have a runtime version here? No. Runtime directory, system version, get running the current process. Okay. Get system version. Man, I should be able to get the environment. Okay, instead of runtime environment, I'll try to use the environment dot command line manage.id. Is there a way to get the runtime version? There you are. Version. Let's make it a toString. Okay, I may be wrong. I should use this, but let's try to run it. If we run this inside net 60, no, I got the correct version. Okay, so the runtime is totally different from the interesting. Maybe I should try that on Linux. Let's see what is the system runtime will show us. Okay, I have a 6.0, and I'll show you, I'll prove it, that in using Visual Studio you can also get the other context as you want. So let's change this to net 60. This should run as, maybe I should directly, there you are. Okay, I need to choose this instead of this. Running in next, yeah, now you have a x06. This is not the SDK version, this is the runtime version. For now, there is no easy way to get the SDK version that you are targeting when the code is running, but I'll show you how to get that. Let's stick for this for now. Now we have the correct runtime version. Okay, we have a X06. That's it. Now you have a hello.NET version. We need to fix this message. Try to ensure that it should support more than one target framework. Hopefully, you'll see that I have changed this code. There are changes like this one, changes in the settings, changes in the source code, CS approach, and also the CS. Again, this is why I mentioned that by default it doesn't support multiple target or target frameworks, the plural, and this, and by default it only nicely support the singular, not the plural. I'll give you some ways to fix this. I believe that this is not my own problem. There will be many developers have faced this problem before. So based on this kind of experience, I'm afraid I have to tell you that let's just use Visual Studio, and I'll try to go back to use Visual Studio Code as needed. But for this kind of nice feature, such as having multiple target being displayed directly on your IDE, well, you cannot beat Visual Studio for now. Maybe there will be some advances in Visual Studio Code, hopefully, but honestly I don't have any clue whether this kind of nice features will be available in Visual Studio Code in short time or short term, because some people have already asked about this, if I'm not mistaken, since 2 years ago in 2022, but as far as I know, there is no definite plan to have this kind of features inside Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is more like to support multiple language, but Visual Studio Code is by default support JavaScript and TypeScript, which is something that it doesn't have a default support for .NET Core by default. This needs to be done. Okay friends, that's it for the episode 1 of introduction of the video. I will also put the link to this repo inside the video description. Okay, now we are at the end of this presentation. I fully hope that you enjoy this, and of course see you next week. Please don't forget to like if you enjoy this and subscribe to my channel here. Feel free to give comments if you find something interesting or you want to correct my presentation, but due to the nature of YouTube, I believe that I welcome discussion, civilized one, and I'll wait for your feedback or comments, of course. One more thing, and I will post the code used in the description of the video, and of course the code and also the presentation will be further updated with the next videos, especially when we are starting to discuss what's new and the technologies or the features inside the .NET 8.0 itself. Bye bye.